Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of the Joe Martin Show. Today I'm here with David. So can you give a small introduction to yourself?
I'm David Gutierrez. I am a personal trainer and a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting combination.
Yeah, I know, right?
With you, I kind of seen you perform already. Like with other musicians, I didn't really get that opportunity. But I saw you at McAllen. It was the Martinez Furniture, right?
Oh yeah, the one that Luis, aka Martin Leon.
Great,
yeah,
great
the
guy.
one that Luis, and he was episode 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you haven't listened to that, listen to that.
Go for it. It was a good one.
Yeah. I was there, and I think that's the first time that you and I actually met in person.
Yeah, because we've been talking with each other for a while on Instagram, and I was really impressed because I thought you were just going to be a musician because that's all I saw. But then I saw this guy's into fitness as well, and he's actually a trainer. Yeah. How did all of that start? Because you have on one side you have a musician, but on the other side you have a trainer. How did all of that start?
It all basically started right when I was born. Mm-hmm. I'm kidding. I picked up music a pretty good amount of time before I picked up fitness.
Yeah.
I started playing guitar at age 9. Mm-hmm. So I was, about 16 years ago.
Was there an event or something led you into playing guitar?
I watched the Johnny Cash biopic, Walk the Line.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into it. I had always liked music. My favorite band up until that point, and still, was the Beatles.
Yeah.
My dad showed me the Beatles. He showed me Creedence Clearwater Revival and a bunch of old school rock and roll bands.
Yeah.
So when I was little growing up, I liked that, and I always had sort of a pull towards music, but I didn't actually play any instruments or feel the desire to learn any instruments until I saw that movie.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw the movie, that I was like, I want to do that.
I want to do that.
I want to do. I saw Joaquin Phoenix who played Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
With his guitar, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah, that's actually a different story because other musicians I asked, it's always I want to impress this girl, so I picked up the guitar just to impress them. No,
that came later.
That came later?
That was a result of learning guitar.
Yeah.
But it wasn't why I started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it helped.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And what were the first couple of songs you learned on guitar?
So the first song I learned was I Walk the Line.
Walk the Line.
My uncle taught me that song. He played a guitar, and he picked it up by ear, and then he showed it to me.
Yeah.
And after that, I can't really remember, but I just know I'm pretty sure it was more Johnny Cash songs. I learned Beatles, all the stuff that I was already listening to. I started.
You started playing it. Oh, that's good because the whole stereotype is Seven Nation Army, Smoke on the Water, those basic songs. Those tend to be the first guitar songs.
So I didn't really have any formal lessons. I did take a summer course when I first started learning, and I think that was my parents kind of testing me out to see if I really wanted to learn. And so I did have a teacher for that period of time, and to this day I still actually keep in contact with him a little bit. But I was only with him for a little bit, so I only learned a few things, and then everything else that I learned afterwards basically came from me figuring it out on my own.
So you learned mostly by ear or okay?
Yeah, it was mostly by ear, and just listening to the songs. YouTube wasn't really a thing back then. We're that old. So it's not like I could go on the internet and find lessons or stuff like that. I learned how to read tabs, and then I would find a few tabs online. But most of the time I would listen to the songs, and I would try to mimic it until I actually got it.
Dang, that's impressive. Because not a lot of people have that talent where they can just hear it and mimic it and just find it exactly where to find on the guitar.
Yeah, it takes a lot, and some people are naturally good at it. I know Luis mentioned our friend Fabian, who has perfect pitch. He can tell you all the notes and everything like that. I can't do that. Yeah. But I'm close enough. For example, if I hear a song, I can
you more or less know where to go.
I know what key it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
More. I can maybe like 7 out of 10 times I can tell you the key of the song.
And even at that, like, that's still impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, most people they'll just listen to a song like, yeah, whatever, just.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. I guess I'm just not impressed by it because I do it.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because you're already used to that level, like, so you need like an outside person where like, oh shit, like, look at him do that. Yeah.
If someone tells me like, hey, that's how did you do that? I'm like, just listen to it. Like, what do you mean? But yeah, I get you. Mm-hmm. It's cool. And I mean, it definitely took me a while to pick things up because I had to learn it that way. Yeah. But once I started actually getting things, and it was like, snowball. Is
there any like pros and cons to that compared to like learning music traditionally, like through sheet notes and all that stuff?
I can't speak from experience because I don't know how to read any music.
Yeah.
And I'm not knowledgeable with music theory. But I will say, having friends that do know music theory.
Yeah.
My friend Rebecca knows music theory. I have a friend named Robert, and he actually is a teacher. Mm-hmm. And the dude is super knowledgeable in music theory. He's incredibly smart. And I mean, they're great musicians. And I know that part of it has to do with the fact that they know.
Yeah.
They know structures. They can figure things out because music theory is sort of like, it just helps make music predictable, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope I'm putting it well.
No, because songs have like structures, and like if you're able to like figure out the formula, you can more or less find the answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically,
it's kind of like math, basically.
Yeah. It's like math, and I mean, like I said, I can't really speak too much of it because I don't have any experience with it. But just from what I can see with my friends and from what they've told me, that's kind of how it is. It's like, yeah, you can figure out song structures, and it's pretty easy. For me, I know song structures because I've played music for so long.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So for me, I can hear a song, and if I've never heard the song before, I can still tell you if we said, if I know what the key is, I can tell you what the next chord's going to be because I know what chords go in that key, or I can hear the pattern leading to that chord. But that's because I can hear it.
Yeah.
You get me?
No, yeah, it makes sense.
Versus someone who knows music theory is more likely, I guess, to know what chord is coming next because they just know what chord is coming next because they have that knowledge. And me, it's like, well, no, I know it because the bass is leading the line all the way up to this chord and all that stuff. I can hear it crawling up and all that stuff.
That's interesting.
So it honestly comes to the same result. So there's no right or wrong. I would say it is harder to learn music if you don't know music theory.
Yeah. So regardless whether it be like the traditional method or by ear, as long as you learn that music theory, then you should be more or less.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like probably to be your best, you should probably know both.
Yeah.
But me, I've never had an interest in learning music theory, so I never did. Mm-hmm. But I mean, all the power to the people who do want to take the time to learn it. I'm sure it's interesting. It's just not my cup of tea.
No, yeah. In terms of fitness, though, what led up to that? Because I mean, I've seen some pictures on Instagram. You had posted like the before and after. Like before, you're like a really really skinny dude, and now like you have that figure. You have a good figure.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. That started when I was 15, going on 16. So yeah. September 2012, so almost 10 years ago. It was about 2 weeks before my 16th birthday, and I decided that I was gonna get a gym membership.
You're really showing off your age.
Yeah, I'm like, huh?
You're really showing off the age.
Like, I don't care.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud, and the older I get, I feel like the more proud I'll be about how old I am. That's a good mentality. Yeah,
you shouldn't have that fear of aging.
No, definitely, no. I already have like a few gray hairs. Like I don't know if the light will be able to show them.
No, probably not. It'll probably look white because of the lights.
Yeah, no, really,
you'll be fine,
and it's okay. I don't mind. Like I'm not gonna dye them. But yeah, I started working out because I was about 120 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
And at 5'10", which I'm still 5'10", and I was like, well, I want to change that. And actually, I had depression and anxiety.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So I know we would discuss this a little bit before we started recording, but I didn't mention the depression part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had depression and anxiety for about 2 years, more or less. Maybe a little longer, but I think when I got diagnosed with it was around...
Oh, you actually got diagnosed?
Yeah.
It's not the like, oh, I was feeling depressed.
Oh, no, it's like, no, I'm sad because my girlfriend broke up.
Yeah.
No, like I genuinely, like, I took medication and all that stuff. And yeah, my parents took me to a few different doctors and just trying to, my parents were always very helpful and supportive, which is a good thing, because I know a lot of people go through that stuff
and they don't have that help.
Support. Yeah, but my parents are very supportive. And eventually the medication wasn't really working, and my mom remembered that my dad actually went to this hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know who, what's his name? John Milton?
Yeah.
The guy who does the hypnosis.
Commercials and all stuff, yeah.
Well, the hypnosis shows and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents and my brother went to go see him one time, and I'm a homebody, so I didn't go.
Yeah.
But they went, and then they went to go have dinner at some place afterwards, and they actually bumped into him.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think John Milton talks about how hypnosis can be used for therapy.
Yeah.
And in the shows, my parents asked him about that, and it was more for my dad at the time, and he recommended a doctor friend of his who actually uses hypnotherapy. So he uses hypnosis to, cure depression.
Yeah. They said like, oh, my son's going through depression, and
so
can you make him end up like Johnny Cash?
Basically. Well, maybe not just like him, right?
Yeah.
But my dad went to it, and it helped him. So then eventually he popped back into my mom's mind.
Yeah.
And so I started going with him. And I don't remember these sessions. I remember like going and everything, but I don't remember
what happened in between.
What happens while I'm asleep. Yeah, because he talks to me for a little bit. He asks me how I'm feeling, and then he'll put me to sleep.
How was that experience, like falling asleep? Because a lot of people think like, whatever, they're just playing along to the role, whatever. Like,
yeah, I mean, I was like asleep, dude. Like it's like sleeping.
Yeah.
So you wake up and you feel pretty refreshed and you feel pretty good. But you don't remember anything that happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, you remember like going to sleep, but you don't remember what happened while you were asleep.
Yeah.
So you can ask me anything that, like, what did he talk about while you were asleep? I have no freaking idea.
Yeah.
But I did ask him once. This was after the fact, after I started working out. I told him, why did I start working out? And he told me, while you were asleep one time, I asked you what was the thing that you hated most about yourself, and you said you hated how skinny you were. So then, and you basically expressed that you wanted to change that.
Yeah.
And so I started instilling in you that wanting to work out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it worked, because I would wake up and actually wanted to work out.
Yeah, because you would control your whole your deep consciousness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that started happening, and I have not stopped working out since. So I've never taken any true time off. I've taken, deload weeks, which is like basically like easy weeks, or what's up?
No, I think, wow, like that guy could have just solved the Valley's obesity problem.
I know, right?
Just put everybody to sleep and hey, start working out.
I know, right? Well, I mean, you got to create like...
Yeah, I know. I know.
But no, I get it.
Yeah.
And the thing is you have to be susceptible to it. So you have to allow yourself to be hypnotized. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. Some people who have said, it doesn't work, it's because they don't let it work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you actually have to give a conscious effort to allow yourself to be hypnotized. Yeah. But it is cool. I've never been hypnotized like for entertainment reasons, not to my knowledge.
You wouldn't be aware either way.
Yeah, I wouldn't be aware, right? But he did that, and I mean, for that, I'm eternally grateful, because it set me down a path which I'm still in. Yeah. And it's not just about, my health and my fitness, but about helping others achieve similar results.
Oh yeah, so that we can like go into like the terms of you becoming not only a trainer, well, you became a trainer like more or less when
I was 19.
And like, but like, when did you actually have clients? Because you mentioned like you started helping out people. 19. Oh wow. Yeah. So like, what was that experience like? Because I mean, to thinking like, oh, like who's letting this 19-year-old like train people?
Freedom Fitness did.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they did.
I had a certification. I got certified.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you can't train people unless you're certified.
Okay, that makes sense.
I got my certification, and I started training people, and I did have to work a little harder than the other trainers because I was so young.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that as much anymore because I don't have to convince people to train with me as much because I'm older now. But back then, I did have to.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they wouldn't take you as serious because you were much younger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was, and I even trained for a small period of time. This lady who competed in bodybuilding, she did like bikini competitions.
Oh wow!
And she wanted me specifically because she wanted to train her hamstrings, which is the back of her leg, and her glutes, her butt.
Yeah. And
so we would meet twice a week, and we would do a hamstring and glute session. It was all we did, and I had to prove myself to her.
Damn.
And then, I mean, I did. Our first session wasn't too great, but then after that, as I started figuring her out, then I was able to give her the workouts that she wanted, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I started around that age because I was just really dead set on making a living off of what I enjoy most, which is working out and training. And I mean, so far it's worked out pretty well. I've had obviously down periods like most people do.
Yeah.
And I've had really great periods as well. And right now I'm thank God I'm in a good spot, and it seems to be going really well so far.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about it where I want to venture into some online stuff, and I want to kind of like expand my reach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's scalable basically. That's the word I was looking for the last time.
Yeah, scalable. Yeah, for sure. Because here in the Valley and in person, there's only so many people I can train and so many hours I can dedicate to training people.
He's calling everybody in the Valley fat, by the way.
No, I'm not.
He's calling everybody lazy. There's not enough people here. I can't make money, so I need to go online.
Everyone needs training.
No,
yeah. So there's only so many hours in the day that I
that's
work.
true.
And,
people are busy.
Not only that, but I've learned it the hard way that after a certain amount of clients, after a certain amount of hours, your quality of service will dip.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It just will. Like, you're not going to be the same Joe at 8 a.m.
as the one
as the one at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen because, you're going through the day. If you're a morning person, then you're great in the morning. Yeah. And then by the time the evening rolls around, you're like, I'm done. And same thing comes with training people. Like, I can show up to my 8 a.m. class and I'm like ready to go. Yeah. And I'm super excited. I'm super pumped to train everyone. And if I show up at 6 p.m., I'm like, I'm tired. I just want to go home.
Have you optimized that? Or how did you optimize it or try to avoid that from happening?
I focus on the mornings. Okay. That's because I'm a morning person.
So you just cut off the...
Yeah, I limit my evening activity, or I'll give myself some time in between, so that way I can take a nap or something like that. Yeah. But I limit my evening activity because I know I'm not as efficient in the evening as I am in the morning, and because I want to give my clients, my the best service that I can. I limit myself to the mornings. And I dedicate my evening to my online clients because I don't need to be there in person with them.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So for online, I can just talk to them, text them. They need anything, I'm there.
How do you do that on the online portion? Do you do it through Zoom or how do you train them online?
So with online, with online, it's basically we text. If you want to, we can set up a little Zoom call or a phone call. And this only really happens once, and if it needs to happen again, during the process for general updates, it'll happen again. Yeah. But if not, most of our conversations will take place through text or voice messages too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have one of my clients sends me a bunch of voice messages. But I mean, that's just how he prefers texting, so it's cool. I mean, I'm still gonna listen to everything, and I usually just text him back. Yeah,
but
It mostly just works through text. So we unless I feel like there's something that I need to communicate, and I feel like a phone call would be better or whatever, then we can do that. But most of the time it's through text, and I send them PDF workouts so that way they know what they got to do, and I write those workouts myself. So it's not
that's great.
Yeah, sometimes if I feel like they do need to follow like a program that's already out there, then I might have them on that. But most of the time, I try to have it be something that I write, for them.
Because it feels more personal as well compared to compared to like, oh, I got this online, and like, what do I need to use? And if I can just find
exactly,
it online,
exactly. But it's more like, well, I have this program that I bought, and I bought it for myself, but based on the goals that you're telling me you have, this would actually work really well for you too. So we can run this program, and then as we go along, I'm still going to make modifications specifically to you. So it's like I'm still kind of tailoring your workout, but we're running a program that was written by someone else, and make modifications as we go. But that rarely happens. So it's really, most of the time it's, they have these goals, and usually it's a program that I need to write myself for whatever reason, or, just because I like to use my own personal style of training. In
terms of business, because this is like the stuff that always interests me. How did you figure out the pricing? Like, how much do I charge per client or hourly? And how did you separate the in-person compared to the online?
So that took work, and I'm still working on that, because my goal is to become like a highly sought after trainer. Someone that charges like good money to train people. So I know one thing. I used to work at the Gold's that's on Ridge in Jackson, Gold's Gym, and I was there for 2 years. And the guy that was my boss there, he got after me one time for giving the lowest price that we were able to give to our clients, because Gold sets the prices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so most commercial gyms will set the price, unless you work like at a private studio, like where I work now is a private studio. I set my own price, so my price might be different from the other trainer's price. But at Gold's, where everyone's pretty much the same. But they do give us like a range. So like you can charge $15 per session. No, sorry, not 15. $35 per session. 15 is what we would get from that.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, we can charge $35 per session. You can charge 40, 50, whatever. And I think the cap was like $60 or $70 per session. And they gave us that range. And all of the time, I would always like sell on the 35. Because like I was afraid of not getting clients. And he told me, he's like, that's not how you're going to make money. He's like, you need to
charge more.
He's like, you need to charge more. You might get less clients, but you're going to get more consistent clients, and you're going to make more money from actually valuing yourself like appropriately.
Because like when it comes to business, like you can choose either like the Walmart version where you sell like really cheap stuff at high volume, or you can choose something like a premium brand where they don't sell as much, but since each price is like really, it's at a premium price, you don't need as much customers to like, cover that.
And just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's like obviously the high volume approach doesn't work as a trainer because, well, in any job really, because eventually you're not going to be giving your best service to that person. And it really sucks because it's like if you show up for your 5 p.m. client and you're done for the day, you're just mentally checked out. They're not. Because, they might be your 10th client of the day, but you're their first only trainer. So it's like, it really sucks to not be able to give that good service. So it's better to, and this is advice for any trainer out there who's listening. It's better to offer a premium price and have less clients, but you know that you're giving them your best service. You're
giving a higher quality, because you're not spreading yourself thin.
Exactly. And that's how you make more money in the long term. It's like you charge 6 people $1,000 a month to train with you. You're making $6,000 a month versus, charging 10 people $300. And so you make more money, you have to take care of less people.
And you provide a higher quality service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just one of the biggest lessons that I learned was just don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. It's a big problem.
Yeah, definitely. And not just in training, but in music, which we discussed when we first met. It was people selling themselves short is a huge issue.
Yeah, because I think that's one issue I had with musicians where like they always tell me like, oh no, like I know like you're not supposed to go into music to make money, but like at the same time I think people like artists sell themselves short because of that mentality where like this is just music. Like no, you should be charging because I mean it's a skill, it's a service you're providing. You shouldn't be selling yourself short, not just because like.
Not to mention that it's not just music for some people.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah, it's like it's a skill like you should invest in because I mean like we talked about like equipment and also like that's a cost. Your sound system, your guitars, anything else you buy, like it's a cost.
Yeah, because I mean, and I'm not trying to show off, I swear. I have really expensive equipment.
No, yeah.
And it really sucks to have to haul it to places just to, play for a small wage.
Yeah.
So for people who actually want to make a living off of music, I mean, that is usually a lot of them also have very expensive equipment because they're taking it super seriously. I'm a guy who I mean, I was taking it seriously for some time, but now I'm just more like...
It's more like a hobby.
It's more like a hobby, yeah. But I mean, I still have the expensive equipment. So for someone who actually wants to make a career out of it, it's even worse because it's like, they're really, truly investing a lot of time and money into that. And then they're not really making anything in return.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You're selling yourself short. And it's a huge issue, especially here in the Valley, because then the more cheap musicians there is out there, the harder it'll be for the premium musicians to be hired. And it's not even a premium price. It's in reality, it's just what they're...
It's a living...
It's what they're truly worth.
Yeah.
It's not like, someone charging $200 for a 3-hour gig is not a premium price. Yeah, that is what someone should charge.
Yeah.
Minimum, because that's what their time is worth for them to be there with all the equipment that they have, the setup that they need to do.
The gas and everything else. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, it's just a premium would be like someone who's charging $600 for like 3 hours and it's just the one person.
Yeah.
That would be, I guess.
And I'm pretty sure it gets worse for bands because then they're splitting it between like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, for sure. That would be more like, I guess you could say like if a solo act is like, I can charge $600 for 3 hours, that would be considered more premium.
Have you gone through those issues? Because you've been a solo act and you also been in bands.
Yeah, I have. Actually, my last gig with my band, it was a rockabilly group. And it's not their fault. And it's actually not really so much the venue's fault. It's just circumstance, basically. It happened in January, I believe, when everyone was freaking out about Omicron.
Oh, yeah.
So the way that gig that we did worked was basically they sold tickets at the door and it was a dance.
Yeah.
And they gave us most of the ticket. And so we were expecting at least 50 people or something like, no, not even 50. I think we were expecting like more like 80 people. And we got maybe like 40.
Dang.
Yeah, so all of my guys and myself, we only got $80 for 3 hours.
Each? Okay.
Yeah. Which, like I said,
it's not
much at all. It's not even $100. So I remember that was pretty disappointing. And I was especially disappointed in myself because more for my guys, for my bandmates, because I couldn't give them that minimum that I was expecting.
Yeah, and especially if they rely on that income more than yourself, because you also have the training stuff. It means a lot more to them too, as well, like the money.
Yeah, exactly. Two of them, well, actually, one of them has a full-time job. The other one does camera jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he films but music is definitely something that he uses for income. And the other one's a full-time musician.
Oh, dang.
So it was painful because I'm like, man, like I was expecting like $150 per person, and we got half.
Mm-hmm. How do you think that could change in terms of like in the valley, like in terms of like, people like valuing musicians? Because I think I had the same talk with, I think it was Martin actually. What's his name? I think it was him. Like in terms of like valuing musicians, like what do you think would need to change?
We need to charge more.
Charge more?
Yeah. Yeah, we need to. Same thing as like what my old boss told me. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
Especially because, you know, in training, there is such thing as a premium, and in music there is too. You could consider eventually there is such thing as a premium.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's you know, just charging $100 per person for like a 2-hour gig or something is not a premium. And that should be considered like standard minimum payment for people down here. Yeah,
I was really curious about that because, I mean, how to say it? Because obviously you guys deserve to get paid more, but I was wondering, like, was it like a venue issue? Was it just people selling themselves short? Is there not enough money, or like what's the situation? Yeah,
because I understand there is businesses that say, you know what, this is all we have in our budget. Like we can't do more, and I get that. And you know, and it's up to the musician to decide whether they still want to play there or not. If they're like, well, you know what, it's a nice venue, I can probably make the difference in tips or whatever.
Yeah.
Then cool. You know, if you want to spend your time doing that, and you find it to be worth it for you,
go for it.
Go for it. You know, especially if that truly is the reason why they can't go. Like I have a friend of mine, and right now he currently doesn't have full bands play because his budget doesn't allow for full bands. He only does solo acts or duo.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's fine. You know, and he's very open with me about how much he can pay. And I go with him because he still pays really good. So it's not like he's paying very little money.
But he's also been like really open and honest. But he's being honest.
He's like, okay, well, you know, I know the minimum that I want to give you guys. And if I try to hire a full band, I'm not going to meet the minimum.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, I know I can meet the minimum for a duo or for a solo act. So he's very open about it and everything. So I really respect how he conducts his business with musicians, because he's very upfront about how much he can pay you, and you know, all the opportunities that he gives.
If you only can give him a shout out.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, I'm like,
go for it, man.
It's Texican Barbecue Company.
Yeah, okay.
Super good. I'm actually going to be there.
Where they from? Brownsville or
Brownsville? Yeah, they're in Olmedo, next to not right next to, but it's very near Tesla.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, super good. And they're delicious. Like if you follow their Instagram, it's like you're going to want to get in the car and drive over there.
Damn, I got to try it out then.
I'm going to be there Saturday, by the way. Saturday, April 2nd. I don't know when this releases, but if it really...
what's today? Today's Wednesday, right? Wednesday,
the 29th.
29th. And when is it the thing?
April 2nd.
I think I should be able to make it by then.
Okay. If not, it's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, I'm there a lot of the time, and even if I'm not there, you should still go because it's absolutely delicious.
I would love to support businesses like that.
And Mark, that's the owner. He's a great guy. I love him. So he's quite the personality too. He's really cool, dude. But not a lot of business owners conduct themselves towards musicians the way that Mark does.
Yeah.
You know, he's very kind. He's very straightforward. And he's very giving towards it, you know, gives us like a free meal on top of our payment. And, you know, he's just an overall stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Some business owners are more,
I guess the word would be cheap, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, I'm not going to name any names.
No,
right?
I'm not
going to say any places.
Yeah.
But they're just less supportive. Like they consider music to just be like, well, they're just there to
background noise.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it really sucks because it reflects in their payment. Many times it reflects in their band choice too. Because a lot of times it's
he's saying that your band sucks, so
No, I'm not saying that. But
I am.
But I'm about to. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, another thing is the barrier to entry here in the Valley is pretty low. I understand it's cool to give a lot of people a chance.
Yeah.
And there's people out there that just want to make a name for themselves, and they may just be starting out, so they're not particularly good yet.
Yeah.
And that's, to a certain extent, that's okay. But there also needs to be a standard,
No, I agree, because I think there is an issue where I think I had this conversation with Lupe, I think it was where like if you allow now anybody could become a musician, which is great. But at the same time, when it comes to payment, because there's so many like people who could become a musician, it kind of like the available money spreads out more thinly.
Yeah,
so
it's more like restaurants that see music as background noise are going to hire the dude that charges $50.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, he may not be very good, but he only charges $50. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, if you're a restaurant owner and you don't care about the quality of the music that you put out, that you have at your place, fine. But that's part of the problem. Mm-hmm. It's just
the true victims are the people eating there, though.
Yeah, because a lot of people eating there will probably be like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah.
He sounds so bad, or she sounds so bad too. Mm-hmm. There's girls out there that are not very good. Doesn't matter. Being talentless is not gender specific.
No, yeah.
But it's just that. And like I said, it's cool for people to go out there and try to, get exposure, try to build up experience and everything. You can't get good at a job if you don't put yourself out there. It's any job, when you first start out, you might suck at it, and your wage will show that. And then as you get better at it, your wage should also show that. It should improve. So it's the same thing as a musician. You can start out, maybe you're not very good, so you don't charge a whole lot. But then you start getting good, and you start getting more in demand. The
question becomes, for me, at least from like an outsider's perspective, how do you price your skills? Because being creative, creative endeavors, it's so different from other jobs in terms of how do you price yourself?
Because there's no set wage.
Yeah.
It's up to you. But like I said, I think minimum $100 for most people that are, decent musicians.
But how would you break it down? In terms of hours, 100 an hour? What do you mean?
100 for maybe 2 hours.
So that would be 15 an hour, basically.
Yeah, 50 an hour. Yeah. Yeah, because I rarely do 1 hour gigs. So usually I prefer doing 2+ hours. It's more worth my time for me personally. Yeah. But I'll do 1 hour gigs here and there. I don't mind. Yeah,
because especially if you're driving from let's say from McAllen to Brownsville, if you're just doing 1 hour, even though the drive is just 1 hour.
Definitely. No, I'm not going to drive an hour just to play for 1 hour. Yeah, for sure. So, but I would say for most people, minimum of $50 an hour. $50 an hour. Yeah, if you're per person. So if you're in a band, each person should get a minimum of $50 per hour. Yeah, because anything less than that,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Yeah. And preferably, I would say, in an ideal world, double that. So $100 an hour per person.
In terms of, of course, with higher skills.
Yeah. Assuming you're worth it. But most people are self-aware now, or most musicians, I should say, most musicians here in the Valley are self-aware enough to know if they're worth that money. Do
you guys talk with each other? Okay, this is my price. How much do you charge? More or less to get kind of like a litmus test, or how much to charge, or no?
I'm not closed about it, but I'm not super open about it, to be honest with you. I'll mention if someone asks me, but I don't really discuss it with people.
Yeah.
And the same thing, I don't really ask. I know some musicians that I'm more close to, so I'll know.
Yeah.
And they'll know my numbers and everything, but Yeah, unless people ask, I'm not really open about it, to be honest with you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't think it's taboo. It's just,
Yeah, because usually people think, like, oh, it's taboo. Let's not talk about our payments. And
no, I don't mind. It's just that if I don't get asked, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I do kind of have discussions with a few musician friends still about, the difficulties of being a musician here in the Valley.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I have, one of my bandmates, he's a full-time musician, and he lives in Bronzeville. And the dude, makes a living 100% off of playing live. And he plays live pretty much every night. Wow. And he gets paid good money too. Like he has his minimum charge and everything. And I think he's involved in different bands, so it's not just like one band that he's in.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just in my band. He's in several different groups. And we've talked about it, and he's told me, he's like, dude, don't charge so little. Like, make sure you're charging minimum $100 for, the 2 hours or whatever time. Because, like we discussed, it's an issue. If people see a band that charges, let's say a 4-piece band that charges $100 total.
It's 25, yeah.
$25 per hour. For like a 2-hour set.
Yeah,
they're going to be hiring them all the time. Even if they're worth that much. You get me? Like, even if they're not that good. So he was saying, one of the ways that we should be changing that is by charging more. And it maybe to some people it sounds mean, but it's like, well, you got to know your worth.
Yeah, it's true.
And so for all of my musician friends out there and all the people watching and listening, don't be afraid to charge more. Because here in the Valley, I would like for this place to one day be a go-to place for musicians.
Yeah, that's the similar goal I have, where like I don't know how to start. And I guess the podcast would be a starting point just to like talk with musicians, but like the Valley does like need to pick up and become something like it doesn't have to be Austin or San Antonio. It could be its own place, but like it really does need like a development in terms of the musical economy or ecosystem, whatever you want to call it. Like you guys do need like a lot of help. Like that's why like when it comes to the exposure, that's the most I can do for now. Like I don't have a lot of money. I wish I could.
No, you're good.
But I have plans. Like one thing I talked with Valley Swerve about was payments, where down the line I would love to make this like my full-time job. Talking with musicians, giving you the exposure. And when I had the performance at the end, I would love to have like sponsorships where like, let's say like, okay, David to the Play, it's sponsored by this business and I gave you that payment. That way you can actually like get something out of it. And as well, of course, like pay for my equipment and stuff. But like that would be like a separate payment. And that's one of my goals down the line. And because you guys need help in terms of payments and all stuff.
Yeah. And more for the people that actually want to make a living off of this.
Yeah.
Because like I said, for me nowadays, it's more for fun. It's more as a hobby. I still don't charge very little because I know my worth. I've been playing for 16 years, and I've been gigging on and off for 10.
Yeah.
About 10 years. I started very young, obviously. So, I know my worth. I know what my time is worth, so I'm not going to charge less than what I charge.
Yeah, makes sense.
Even though I don't make a living off of it. But it's also as a favor to other musicians who get hired. It's like I want them to follow those same steps, because if they are wanting to make a living off of it, then they can't charge less than what I charge, or than what I think is the minimum. They need to be charging more. So
besides payment or like the money talk, what else do you think like musicians could do to like improve their experience or like help out in terms of like the Valley music scene?
We have a lot of talented people here in the Valley, a lot, and I've had the pleasure of meeting several of them. I think putting yourself out there, just exposure. So I know we just talked about payment and how I should say people should not be selling themselves short, but don't be afraid to give some of your time away though, because you still even though when you're charging, you got to charge good. You got to charge enough to put food on the table. Mm-hmm. But you also got to know when there's times where you just need to give some of your time away, where you're like, you know what, I'm going to donate my time to this event or whatever. Yeah, maybe I'm not going to get paid, but
I guess the potential exposure could help you out.
Potential exposure. I know it's like a running joke in musicians. Yeah. Like, we're going to pay you in exposure. That's what I'm saying. But do it sparingly. Don't make it a habit. Like, it's not like I
guess like only like for like really major events where like
really major. Like, we're talking like things like where that the pros outweigh the cons. Yeah. If you question it, then it's probably not worth it.
No, that's true.
So it's not like you're going to be doing it like once a month or anything like that. No, like make it very, very rare, but understand that sometimes, especially in the beginning, it is important to give some of your time away.
That makes sense. Yeah. Like I think that happens with like a bunch of creatives where like sometimes it's good to just give like a free sample or like a taste of like what you can do, just to like put your name out there, because you can't just be you can't be a nobody and you just start charging
like somebody. Yeah, exactly. And for example, I didn't actually have to give my time away, but I was kind of willing to do it. Mm-hmm. I recently played at a resort in SPI, and Luis was there too. So he opened up and he was there for, I think, 2 hours. And then I played after him. And I was originally scheduled to play 3 to 5, so pretty much like the end of the market. Yeah. And the property owner actually came up to me and he's like, hey, it's in SPI. So he was saying, we're having a SpaceX party, like people from SpaceX are here. Oh, wow. Can you play longer, because I want them to hear you before they hear like the actual music that he had already hired by that point. And I was like, sure, I'm down. And then he's like, I can pay you. I'm like, all right. I didn't say no, right? I'm like, but if he didn't bring it up, I probably wouldn't have said anything, because I'm like, you know what? It's SpaceX people. Yeah. Like, when do you ever play for people that work for Elon Musk, right? Yeah, the potential. So I was like, yeah, I'm down. It's an hour. He asked me to play an extra hour and a half, but he's like, I can pay you. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say no. Yeah. Because obviously I drove all the way over here. If I can make more money, why not? So I did, right? And I'm grateful for the opportunity. But if push came to shove, I would have done it for free, mainly because I understood the importance of being listened to by those people. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I had some people come up to me after the show and they really enjoyed it and everything. And I usually play mainly country music, but that day I was kind of playing a little bit of everything. Yeah. I play country music mainly because I have a really deep voice.
It makes sense. And it suits you really well.
Thank you. So it's mainly just because it's easier for me to sing that. But I'm a big 90s guy. Mm-hmm. I love 90s grunge. And I like indie music too. Yeah. I love hipster music.
My only criticism about you guys is that some of the songs that Martin chose and that you chose, like when you left, like I think like 1 or 2 of the songs were the same ones. I'm like, oh no.
I know. I saw on your story he played Plush by Stone Temple Pilots. So I was like, I opened with that song, dude. I always open with that song.
No. Yeah, when I heard, I'm like, wait, like, didn't David just play this song a while ago? Yeah.
I'll tell you why though. It's because Luis and I were in a band together and we played that song. So I don't really get from Luis's music because he listens to like John Mayer and like
it's more poppy.
Yeah, and I'm not really into John Mayer. I think he's really talented. That's just not my cup of tea. Yeah, I mainly stick to like 90s grunge and indie music. Mm-hmm. I play a lot of Iron and Wine too. I'm a big Iron and Wine fan. I don't know if you know who he is, but if you don't, he's super good. He's just a guy. It's just one guy and it's acoustic guitar.
Oh wow! I'll listen to it afterwards.
Yeah, he's great. So I play a lot of like indie folk, or like really old folk music, like Bob Dylan, John Prine, who's a more underrated folk musician, Blaze Foley, who's a super underrated folk musician from like the late 70s, 80s.
Wow.
He was actually based in Austin, and he got killed.
What was that story?
So Blaze Foley was he was a folk musician. He never really made it big. He had one hit song called "If I Could Only Fly," and it only hit big because a country musician named Merle Haggard covered it.
Yeah.
And and actually, two songs. Another one was "Clay Pigeons." John Prine covered "Clay Pigeon." John Prine was pretty. He's up there with Bob Dylan, but unless you're like super into like the folk scene from back in the day, you're not really gonna know who John Prine is.
Because even Bob Dylan, like certain people know him, but not too much.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Like we're getting to the point where people don't know who Bob Dylan is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Blaze Foley, he ran with the likes of like people like Townes Van Zandt, who was another folk musician back in the day, and. He lived in Austin. He had a elderly neighbor that he would go and hang out with, take care of. And that neighbor had a son. And the son didn't particularly enjoy that Blaze would go and visit his dad, because the son was very abusive with his dad. So he actually like would steal his dad's like retirement payments.
Oh, wow.
And like he was just a prick. So one day, and they would always get in confrontations, right? So one day Blaze was there hanging out, and then the son, I think, came from upstairs. He came downstairs, and they got into a confrontation, and he shot Blaze in the stomach.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And so he killed him. Eventually, he died.
That's wild.
It's pretty crazy. Ethan Hawke actually made a movie about Blaze Foley.
Of course.
Yeah, it's called Blaze.
Please. All right, I'll look into it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I actually enjoyed it. And I don't know, Ethan Hawke directed, so I was like, oh, it's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I don't even know what we were originally talking about.
We're talking about
the music that we... Yeah. So, no, but Luis and I were in a band together, and a lot of this music that we played was like 90s music. We played some early 2000s, a little bit of Spanish as well. So, yeah, we kind of...
Yeah, with similar playlist.
We have similar set lists. We try not to step on each other's toes, but sometimes it happens.
Oh, gosh. So, how did you even find out about folk music? Because even at that, like, it seems like really niche. Sorry.
Yeah, it is very niche, actually.
How did you discover that? Because like 80s, 90s grunge and all stuff like that's kind of easy, because you could say like, oh well, my parents got me into that. But like I haven't heard like that many people talk about like folk music specifically.
My dad likes some folk music. Not like a lot. Not like he is like super into it, but he likes some. Enough that I discovered a couple musicians from there, and then I started taking it on my own. Like, sort of like, if you like this guy, you might like this
person, yeah.
So there's a guy named Oscar Chavez, so he's a Mexican folk singer that my dad likes. And he's one guy that I would listen to. And there's another, I think he's also Mexican. His name is Silvio Rodriguez, who I discovered around that same time as well. And so those are the Mexican folk singers. I don't know too much about Mexican folk singers, but I know them too. But Bob Dylan, John Prine, I actually discovered through the Beatles and through other country artists.
Yeah, that
like
makes
Johnny
sense.
Cash.
Because usually they cover the songs.
Yeah, because the Beatles were big Bob Dylan fans. So when I learned about the Beatles, eventually I started learning about Dylan.
Yeah.
And then, I was a big Johnny Cash fan, and then I got from Johnny Cash to Willie Nelson, to Waylon Jennings, to Merle Haggard, George Jones, Hank Williams Jr. A bunch of these,
he goes down the road.
Yeah, just a bunch of these really old school outlaw country musicians, and a lot of them were into folk music as well. And John Prine was like a name that was very known amongst the country musicians back in the day, because John Prine was a great songwriter, right up there with Bob Dylan. Townes Van Zandt too. Willie Nelson Merle Haggard actually covered a Townes Van Zandt song called Poncho and Lefty.
Yeah.
So basically, it's through these country artists and through the rock and roll artists that I discovered the folk artists.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they were the influence behind the songwriting. Even if the genre was different, the songwriting is similar. The influence is very similar. Yeah. So it just came from there. Also, believe it or not, like Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, he liked a lot of these artists too.
Oh, wow.
So it was also through Kurt Cobain, because I started listening to Nirvana at a very young age as well. And it was through Kurt Cobain that I discovered who like the Vaselines were. And the Vaselines was like an old, like kind of folkish, like I guess like psychedelic folk.
Yeah.
And I forgot what other bands he was really into, but it was just groups that I didn't know anything about, but because I went down the rabbit hole of whatever the artists that I did liked, I then discovered all these other people.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, it happens naturally where like you eventually want to find out what inspired the musicians that inspire you. Like you want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, because I was thinking about it for a while. This is like completely off topic.
Go for it.
What have been like some like the weirdest or like craziest experience you had when you were in your gigs? Because you kind of mentioned earlier, like when it was about the fitness, where you kind of had like an awkward moment with the client in the beginning, but then it became normal. Like, what about with your music? Like, did you ever have like weird moments or like crazy moments with your gigging?
Oh man, I've had a few.
Yeah.
Nothing like too crazy, but I remember I was playing at 5x5.
Yeah,
that was one of my last gigs at 5x5. And there was this lady who went up to me while I was playing, and she asked me if she could do karaoke. Yeah. And I was like, well, no, it's I'm playing.
Yeah.
and then not only that, but you know, she wanted to do like karaoke where she would plug in her phone.
Oh no.
So it's like not even me playing the background music for her and she's saying, it was like she wanted to just completely take over. I'm like, lady, like this is my stuff. It's not like I'm borrowing it from the brewery. Right?
Yeah.
If I was borrowing it, then you can ask them. And then she went and asked one of the employees and she claimed that they said yes. I was like, probably not.
Yeah.
And I told her, you know what, like these guys are paying me to play. I'm not going to give up my time and have you play or have you sing because you want to sing karaoke. It's not a karaoke bar. And plus, you know, they're paying me for 3 hours. They're going to get 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know? So she got upset and she walked off and she's like, we're going to go to a place that has good music.
Oh.
And
well, you're here already, aren't you?
I told her, I'm like, well, it's like, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Damn.
But yeah, that was pretty upsetting. But at the same time, I was like, well, it's just some like
random person.
It's just some lady. Like, she's not even my demographic anyway, so I don't really care. You know, because the other people that were there were enjoying it just fine.
Yeah,
so.
And I mean, you are. And not just because I'm interviewing you or like we're friends or anything, but like you are a good performer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
So like any other experiences like with hecklers, just like saying like, we don't like your song choice or like you suck?
No, I think pretty much that's like the only time.
The only time? Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, because I've had some weird experiences, just like, you know, funky people, but nothing bad. Like, it's just more like, just like you meet some weird people. Or like I've had people, same thing at 5x5 because it's a brewery, so you know a lot of them are drunk.
Oh my god!
Go up to me and they'll talk to me like for the longest time, and they're like, you know, you're so good, you're so talented, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm just trying to put my equipment away. Like, thank you, I really appreciate it, but I'm like, but I want to go home. I'm like, I'm tired because you know I don't drink. So to me, it's just like. I'm just there to play. I used to drink, and you know, but not anymore. Yeah. So really, it's just like I'm as sober as can be, and I'm just ready to like pack up and go home and go to bed. You know. Has
anyone like tried to like you know like how you have your tip box? Has anyone like tried to like put in their number like No, you can.
Unfortunately, no.
No.
No. A lot of the places where I've played, there's usually people are older than me.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the kind of music that I play.
I mean, that doesn't change anything.
I suppose you're right, but a lot of them are married, right?
Hey, again, even that.
I do hope though, like at some of the markets that I play, I see some girls and I'm like, man, she's really cute.
Yeah.
But I'm a very nervous guy. I'm very shy.
For reals?
Yeah.
I wouldn't suspect that.
I can't just go up to girls. I can't.
I'm surprised because like you're talented, you're a musician, and you're really into fitness. You would think like you'll be like, damn, this guy's confident as fuck.
I think when it comes to certain things, I can be, and as soon as when it comes to women, I'm just like I shut down completely.
Oh wow, that's surprising.
Yeah, no. When I was in high school, I was better at it.
What changed? Like, what do you think changed in terms of that?
I got into a long-term relationship, and I think I was out of the game so long that when we broke up, I was like, well, you know, I'm not the same person that I was when I first started dating this girl. Now I have no freaking idea how to approach women. It's
that
just,
makes sense. Yeah,
you know. So I haven't really had a relationship since because it's just like I don't. I mean, not gonna lie, I have like fear of commitment. I mean, I would like to commit to someone. That's my goal. It's not like I want to just hoe around.
Yeah, basically.
That's not what I'm trying to say, ladies. I swear. No, but
yeah, because I'm thinking like because it could happen either way. It could happen on your musician side or was your fitness side.
You know, right?
But like, hey, well, you know, private lessons.
It's just more. I've had that happen actually.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. There was this girl. I'm obviously not going to name her.
Yeah, don't.
But she wanted me to train her specifically because she wanted to hook up. But nothing happened.
No.
Yeah, no, I was like, no. I had just broken up with my ex-girlfriend at the time, so I was like,
no, you weren't in that mood.
I'm not ready.
That makes sense.
But just I can't, man. Like I don't know why.
Yeah, me too. I'm shocked because I mean, like,
I'm just a shy guy. Like I can walk up to girls and I can talk to them, but the second that I think that I'm gonna flirt with them, boom.
Yeah.
Like there's this girl, and I'm obviously not gonna name her because if she watches this, it's gonna be so embarrassing. I have one of the biggest crushes on her. Yeah. And she's at some of the markets that I play at. Because she's.
I'm gonna start stalking now.
Yeah, for real, right? You're gonna see who I'm looking at.
Yeah. Where is she?
Yeah.
Where is she?
Where are they? And yeah, she's sometimes she's like one of the people that are selling stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna say what she sells because
you're getting too much details already.
But I'm okay with opening up about it. So yeah, I have the biggest crush on her. She seems like the nicest girl. Every small conversation that I have with her, she seems so sweet. She seems like such a cool person. I would just and it's like I would just like to get to know her. Yeah. You know? But I have never gone up to her and to even remotely ask that because I'm just like, she's going to say no. And she might not, right?
No, I mean, come on.
But
you're selling yourself short.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, I think you are.
But thank you. But I just haven't done it. Yeah. And I have a gym crush too, and I haven't gone up to her either. Even though I have reason to suspect she actually might have a crush on me too.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because I was telling a friend of mine about it. And she's a girl, and she was saying. So I was telling her because I want that female perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
And she was like, I was explaining to her some of the stuff, and she's like, "That kind of sounds like you might have a chance, if you actually went up to her." But I haven't done it.
Yeah, you need to start. Just get that practice in, just to.
Just to get back into the game. Happen? They say no, right?
Yeah.
I gotta think that way, and it's like these are strangers. The worst thing that can happen is I bump into them again at some random point in time. Yeah. And I just ignore them.
Basically, yeah. The worst thing they could say is no. You get maybe a little bit hurt, But at least you get the confirmation whether it be yes or no, rather than me wondering like, oh man, like what would have happened if I would have asked her? And there's also like the whole ticking clock where like, what if they end up with somebody else? And you're wondering like, man, it could have been me right there.
Well, if they end up with someone else, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, not worth it. Sorry, it wasn't meant to be. My bad. Wrong choice of words. It wasn't meant to be.
I would disagree with that only because you didn't like try to like go after shoot your shot basically.
Yeah, I suppose, but I feel like God has a way of just arranging things together.
Mm-hmm. So but how would you know if God's telling you, like giving you the hand, like, hey, go for it? But you're the one not taking that leap.
It's here.
It's here. All right.
Yeah, I know it's like super cliche to say it's a gut feeling, but
no, there's a reason why we had that instinct.
Yeah. No, honestly, like all the times that I've had like, revelations, because I'm Christian, so I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm Christian, so every time I thought you
were David. No, I'm playing. It's such a bad joke.
I know, right? So it's like I miss when I miss being a Christian, or something like that. No, every time I've had like a revelation or just a piece of guidance, I usually feel it deep down, like in the pit of my stomach, as they say. And, I've had times where I've ignored it, and then I can feel when I didn't make the right choice. And I've had times where I've gone with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that was like a good choice, and for obvious reasons, right? So it's a lot of trial and error. No,
yeah, definitely. Because there's been times where like I had that good feeling where I know I shouldn't do it. I do it, and then I get mad because I knew exactly how I thought I was going to go.
Yeah, you end up regretting it.
Yeah, like damn,
I shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens, and it's going to happen all the time for the rest of our lives because that's just how we are. But yeah, like when you learn to sort of try to connect, or like when you pray and you're actively seeking God's will, then things just have a way of arranging themselves.
Out of curiosity, in terms of like in terms of your faith, it's kind of curious because a lot of young people don't have like a religious faith. How did you keep that? Because like during high school, like I used to be like a really religious person. Somewhere along college, I kind of like fell out of like I wasn't as religious. But like, how did you like? Did you like keep it throughout high school and college, or did you just? How did that work out?
I actually didn't. And it's funny because this is a topic that has come up recently, like in my church services.
Yeah.
And also in my family. And I go to the family church, by the way, in McAllen. They're great. So shouting them out. And also go to another church sometimes. I think it's called Victorious Life Temple. Also in McAllen, and that's a friend's church. So I go to both of them, just depending.
Yeah.
But anyway, in the family church, they were talking about how there's a huge dip in, from generation to generation, the percentage of people that still believe in God. And in Gen Z, which is the youngest generation, the generation below ours, is the lowest. We're the second lowest.
Yeah.
Gen Z is the lowest. I think only 20% believe in God. Something like that.
Yeah, it's really low.
I'm getting the statistic wrong, but I know it's low.
It's really low, yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. Like personally, it really does hurt to see that. But at the same time, I can understand why. Because I went through it. A lot of people have really bad encounters with religious people.
No, yeah, I understand.
And the thing is, it's not about, for me, like it's not about religion, because I think religion, all it does is divide people. Religion, all it really does is divide us. What we should focus on is God Himself.
Yeah, your relationship with God. Yeah,
your relationship with God, because that's what's actually going to unify you. That's what's actually going to bring you peace. That's what's actually going to bring you closer to your friends, family.
Yeah,
that's what unites us. and religion is just, dividing people. And the issue that a lot of people run into is that they meet religious people.
Mm-hmm.
So they meet, and these people could have good intentions, right? But it's just that, because their focus is more religion than it is God himself,
mm-hmm.
it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths.
No, yeah, I get you what you mean.
Or you're not setting the example because, you say you're a Christian, but then you are constantly flicking everyone off.
Yeah.
And you're being mean to everyone for no reason. And, I'm obviously just shouting different things out, but no one's perfect. And, no one is a perfect example of a Christian. I assure I'm not a perfect example of a Christian. Mm-hmm. I don't even think I'm a good example of a Christian, but I try to be.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what people should strive for, that attempt. Because I had the same conversation where when I was more religious, I was talking with some friends, and one girl would say the reason I don't want to become religious is because I know I'm going to make a lot of mistakes and all that. And I see religious people do certain things that they shouldn't be doing. But at the same time, the whole point is that you're attempting to become a better person. Even if you fail, the whole point is getting back up and then trying to do better.
Yeah, because, the huge misconceptions is that we have to earn our way to heaven. And that's not true. You accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. That's it. That's all you have to do to be guaranteed a spot in heaven.
Yeah.
And as long as you actually believe that, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't mean that now you have a free pass to do bad things. No, still do your best effort to be a good person, because the best way for us to show Jesus in our daily lives isn't so much through our words, but it's through our actions.
Yeah.
What we do sometimes matters more than what we say.
Mm-hmm. And even, not to cut you off, go on.
No, you're good. Go for it. Go.
Not even to just cut you off, because I know some people why are you talking about religion? For me, it's not just the whole religious experience, but there's also the fact that going to church is one of the only places where different people from different backgrounds and all that stuff can actually get together. Because in terms of institutions or social institutions, there is nothing else that brings different people together. Maybe you might have sports and all that stuff, but it doesn't you don't dedicate yourself to a certain thing, believe something bigger than yourself. Because in terms of social breakdowns, because there's a study, I can't remember which one it was, where there's people rich people who live in gated communities versus rich people who live within communities where people with less money. The people who live within communities with lesser money or I guess less, not, I wouldn't say poor, but they have less income than them, they're able to relate to them, talk with them, and not have a bad view of poor people. While people who live in gated communities and don't interact with poor people, they tend to have a worse view than them. So churches are a place where everybody's equal, more or less. They're able to communicate with other people from different backgrounds, and that brings in some kind of unison.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's honestly a big reason why I think I like the things that I like. I think that's why I'm big on fitness, and that's why I'm big on music.
Yeah.
Because they are also platforms that provide unity under the right circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Just like going to church, or even if you don't go to church, if you just hang out with friends that are Christian and you guys read a devotional together, or you just have a nice discussion about God, that's church too.
Mm-hmm.
Church isn't a place.
Yeah. I use it a place because that's where most people.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, no, I totally get you. And but what I mean is, it's people that are afraid of going to church. Maybe they don't want to go to church, but they want to take a step towards God. You can just do that. If you have friends that are Christian, and ask them, hey, can we hang out one day? Can we read the Bible together, or just talk about God, about your experiences with Him, and that's it. That's church too.
What kind of struggles have you gone through with your faith? Because it's natural for any religious person to go through I guess trials and tribulation with a relationship with God.
What do you mean exactly?
People tend to struggle in terms of believing in God. I guess it happens a lot with young people. Why should I believe in God? Or I can't believe in God because of these certain things that happen. What kind of struggles have you gone through your own faith or whatever?
Yeah. So it's a good thing you asked, because I was meaning to bring this up. Because when you asked, have I always been like that? And the answer was no.
Yeah.
Growing up, I've never really had to be told to believe in God. Ever since I can remember, I've believed in Him. Maybe I got told, but if I did, I don't remember. Right? But I've always, my parents, they're both Christian, but they didn't go to church when I was growing up. So it wasn't like I grew up going to church. But I wanted to go to church. I wanted to read the Bible. I wanted to watch all the Jesus movies. I was into it. For whatever reason, my parents, it's not like my parents forced it upon me. It was probably me maybe like telling them like, hey, like I want to, it was me bugging them about it.
Oh, wow. That's surprising.
Yeah. And it happened, a lot growing up. And then I went through my depression and anxiety, and that kind of like tore me up a little bit. Yeah. Because half of me wanted to keep going and pushing forward, and the other half was like, there was like this bad side of you telling you like, just give it up because it's God's fault and all that stuff, which is not true. But, for a while I went the other direction. I went away from Him and I just completely rejected Him.
Yeah.
And eventually, took me a few years, but around age of 19, I started believing again. It was like a switch. That. And it actually happened, funny enough, on the night of my first date with my ex-girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had like a really...
How bad must she have been?
No, in a good way. In a good way.
In a good way.
No, I don't want to throw her under the bus. What if she watches this?
I know. No.
We're on good terms.
Yeah.
No, but it was like... I don't know why. I don't know if it was related to her or if it was just something I felt that night. But I just suddenly felt a presence.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
I'm sorry. No, just the idea like she left her life like, oh, God's back.
I know, right?
I'm sorry.
That's funny. No, you're good, man. It's weird. It's a weird story. On. But I just suddenly like felt His presence again. It was so strange, and I was super thrown off by it too. Because before that, I was just like, nah, like I was just rejecting everything. And suddenly I wasn't anymore. Yeah. And, since that day, I haven't looked back. I've stayed the course since then. And, I've had moments in my life where, I've been angry at Him. And I've been sad, or, where I've, wondered like why things are happening the way that they are, but I've never rejected Him since. Yeah. That's an extreme that I've never gone back to. It's really, really difficult though, like when you face certain things in life, like loss and like especially when it's so sudden.
No, yeah, I get you, man.
It just makes you wonder and it makes you question, right? But, after taking your moment to grieve, it's always important to understand that, there's things in this life that happen that we will never understand in this lifetime, but that one day we will, in the next. So it's just holding on to the fact that, God has a plan and He's seeing it through. So, yeah, we're going to face bad things, and those bad things are not like His intention. Yeah. But, obviously bad things happen in life because currently, God is not in control of this world. The enemy is. Yeah. And the enemy likes to destroy, and he likes to cause us grief and anger. But those of us who seek God, are going to be able to overcome all of those things. So it's like just understanding that if you're open to his will, if you're open to his ways, if you're open to being guided by what he tells you, then, you're set on a good path.
Yeah. In terms of religion, did you ever play music at church or no? Because I know I forgot who it was. It was one of the people I interviewed mentioned how in church they started playing music. I think it was multiple people actually that they would play music at church. That was a stepping stone towards actually.
I haven't. No, not yet. No, I want to.
Have you asked them hey, I can play guitar?
Yeah. So it's funny enough, actually, when I was at the SPI thing.
Yeah.
My church was having a convention there. I didn't even know.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, they were all there. I don't know. I just saw people from the worship team. I was like,
hey, they're there.
And I saw one of the pastors. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I went up to one of the pastors, and I told her, I'm like, hey, we haven't formally met, but I go to the church, blah blah blah. And she was like, what are you doing here? I'm like, oh, I'm performing. I'm at a market. I'm playing here at the market. I was taking a break, so I was in between sets. And she was like, oh, sorry, not her. One of the other people there was like, oh my gosh, were you the guy that was singing earlier? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like, you sound so beautiful. I was like,
oh here it comes.
And then the pastor was like, why haven't you joined the worship team?
Ooh.
And I was like, I don't know. I auditioned a year and a half ago, but nothing ever came of it. And she's like, well, you should do it again. And she's like, I think she said she'd mention it to the worship leader or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay.
Hey, it would be nice because
it's scary.
Why do you think it's scary?
Because if I mess up at a gig, it's no biggie. I mean, yes, I'm not trying. I'm trying to give my best performance, but if I mess up, people don't mind. If I mess up at church, I feel like that's different.
No, yeah, I get you.
That's just not. I don't know. If you hit the wrong note,
yeah,
it's just the stakes feel higher.
Yeah, I think also the fact that they're if you're at a church where there's a lot of people they're gonna be staring at you oh no, he messed up.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
because a lot of us are into the worship music, and basically we're trying to feel God's presence as we're worshiping Him. But you never know who's actually listening. Yeah. Because I know sometimes I'll listen, and if someone messes up, I can hear it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it will get me out of the element, right? It's just I'll be into it, and then suddenly I'll hear the wrong note. I'm like
huh? Yeah.
I can't help it. I'm a musician, and you never know if there's any other musicians out there, or just people who have an ear for it, right?
Yeah, and they'll just look at you
They're like, that dude messed up.
They really let him on stage.
Yeah, really,
in terms of pressure, how you're mentioning, have you had any gig where you really felt so much pressure where I have to do my best, or this could set me back or something?
I think most of them, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I don't feel. Maybe when it's the first time that I play at a place, I feel it more than the times after.
Okay.
If it's my first time playing somewhere,
because it is your first impression.
Yeah, because it's my first impression, exactly. But pretty much every time I gig, I'm just always afraid to myself.
Oh wow. So you haven't had one specific event where you felt that pressure, oh no, I need to perform my best, or who knows what might happen?
Not that I can remember. Not that I feel they've all felt pretty equal.
I guess that's actually pretty good then.
Yeah, I try to treat every gig, about the same level.
Mm-hmm. So how would in terms of, we're 25 right now, both of us. For the people who don't know, what do you see where would you want to see yourself in 5 years? So let's say you're 30. Where would you want to see yourself in terms of your fitness, your life, and music?
Ripped. Not kidding. Ripped as hell.
You want to be like Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah, I want to be like Lou Ferrigno. No, I think I would see myself really focusing on the business end of fitness.
Mm-hmm.
I love training people. And I love helping people out, but I do notice that I have a bit of a bit of an interest or a bit more of an interest on the business side of things. I would like to manage people, like manage a team of people, and have them, be the trainers and be like the consultants and everything. And I'm just there, to make sure everything's running smoothly. Obviously, that's more work than because
now you're in charge of so many different people.
Yeah, but there's a lot more to it. But I feel like that's so far where I think I would like to go.
Yeah.
I would like to build the online business. So, be an online trainer. If I could be 100% an online trainer, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And manage like a team of trainers through that too. So it's like the whole business is online, because I do believe that the future of personal training will eventually go towards just purely online training. It's more affordable for some people because you do, you can charge a lot, but you're never going to charge as much as you charge in person. Yeah,
and it can also be flexible, like where people schedule, or like maybe they can't make it to the gym, but they could like talk to you or...
Yeah, it's the flexibility. Yeah. It's like my client doesn't have to meet me there at 5 a.m. He goes whenever he feels like it. If he wants to train at midnight, that's like, I don't have to be awake for that.
Yeah, because that should really be the goal, where you should want to make money even when you're not working. Like...
Yeah. And running an online business takes a lot of work. Being an online coach takes a lot of work because you're not there with them. So it's a lot of watching over, making sure that they're doing everything how you tell them. And because, let's say, if they're squatting and you're not there watching them in the moment, you're not able to correct them in the moment. But, if they send you a video, then it's like you have to review it as soon as you can, making sure that way you are correcting them, maybe even on the spot if they send it to you during the workout.
Yeah.
But even if it's not on the spot, just making sure that they're learning these things as soon as possible, right? It's a lot of work.
No, yeah, I get you.
But that's where I see myself, I think.
Well, on the fitness side. What about the music side?
I don't know. I think with music, I don't really have an end goal anymore.
Yeah.
If I'm playing, cool. If I'm not, that's okay. I'm always going to play, whether it's in my living room or in front of people. I'm never going to stop playing. But,
you should keep that as a hobby rather than your main,
Yeah, unless God says otherwise, like if something happens and I feel a pull towards doing more with it, then sure, but currently I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing it for fun.
What about life? Like, where would you want to see yourself? Like,
single.
No,
I don't know. I would like to get married eventually.
Yeah.
Like I
think that's an end goal for everybody, or most people. I think.
Most people. There's days where I wake up and I'm like, I never want to get married. And then there's days where I am like, I wouldn't really. You just look at the pillow like, oh man, I wish somebody was there. Yeah, it's just, like you go to bed, you wake up and there's no one there next to you. Yeah, it kind of sucks, right? But I think in life, I would just hope that my business makes enough money that I can use that money to pay it forward. Yeah. So, like I said, my ultimate goal is to help people, whether it's, on the business end of things or, as a philanthropist. I would like to make enough money to help those around me and just give back. Yeah. So that's really my ultimate life goal. Yeah, that's very noble. No, thank you. Yeah. And so I know we're running up on time. So the last question will be, what was your favorite part of the interview? Man, I honestly, I enjoyed all of it. So, no, because you let me ramble on. So, yeah. No, yeah, I guess people, there's space to talk and express their emotions and their thoughts. I enjoyed talking about God. Yeah. Just because it's something that I'm trying my best to be more open about. I have a friend, and which is more of an acquaintance. We don't talk a whole lot, but and she's Christian. Yeah. And I always tell her every time I see a post of hers or anything, I always tell her that I really admire the fact that she is very unafraid of showing her faith. And she's 19.
Oh wow!
You know, so she is from the generation that we just spoke. That,
and it's not like even for us, like that's not easy.
No, it's not easy for people in our generation. It's not even easy for people in Gen X. You know, the generation before us.
Yeah,
it's like it's becoming more and more taboo for some reason, and you know, like I said, that breaks my heart. But it really, really gives me hope to see someone so young still so unafraid to talk about God, and she's so open about it, and like literally it's like it just really warms my heart.
Yeah,
it really makes me happy to see that.
That's good.
So
man.
You know, and I'm trying to follow in her footsteps, and I'm trying to do the same thing as well, because one thing I noticed in myself is I don't think I was talking about him enough. I don't want to come off as preachy to anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I never want to force religion not religion. I never want to force God down anyone's throats. You know, people can believe whatever they want to believe. I'm no one to say otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I would like to share my experiences with people so that way they can determine for themselves if that's something that they're willing to explore or not. You know, and it's like, well, I see David and I see, you know, I see what kind of person he is. I see how happy he is or whatever. And I see how, you know, how passionate he gets when he talks about God. I want to experience that. I want to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to church one day and see and see it for myself. You know, so that's something that I'm trying to focus on as well. It's just being more open about it, so that way someone out there can hear me talk about God and can hear the passion that I have, the emotion in my voice when I talk about him, and can see through my actions, you know, he's a nice guy or whatever, because I try my best to be a good person to those around me.
No, and you are, like, it really shows, like even without like me knowing about your religion, like, or your religious faith at least, or your faith, whatever. You always come off as a good person. I mean,
thank you.
I never like, it's like, oh, this guy, like, I never seen you like as an asshole or anything like that. Like,
no, because I'm a grumpy guy, so you know, sometimes I come off a little mean, but I'm not trying to be. No,
like, I get the same thing where like people look at me like, oh, that guy looks angry, like, or he looks mad, because I have like an intimidating face, and I mean, it doesn't help that I'm a big guy too, so like, I get it. But no, man, I see you're doing your best. Honestly,
thanks,
you're a good person.
I appreciate it.
Because like I talk with a lot of people, so like I can more or less know how, like what kind of person you are.
Yeah, it gives you a good gauge, especially now that you're doing the podcast.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because it's like, I mean, I opened up more than I thought I would open up.
Yeah,
you know,
that happens a lot.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's neat. Like it's that's why I love podcasts, and it's like, I was telling my friends, I'm like, it's a bucket list item for us to be in a podcast, because I listen to so many of them.
Yeah.
So I thank you for that, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because I always had that gift where, like, even in college, like, certain professors, they wouldn't talk about like what they actually believe in, but then like once, like after like class, whatever, like I would talk with them and they would just open up. And I was wondering, like, I always try to like figure out, like, why do people open up to me? And that's something I want to figure out. What, do you have any ideas, like, that you might think, like, hey?
I think you just seem friendly. You're a friendly guy. You're very approachable. That's probably why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I get curious, because I mean, I need that outside perspective, because I can't just figure it out on my own.
I get you. Yeah. It's always good to have an outside perspective, because some of us, I mean, it's like how we talked about, like, how I don't think that finding out what key a song is in is impressive.
Yeah.
It's because to me, I've done it so long, I'm just like, well, it's innate.
It's innate, yeah.
You know, but if you tell me it's impressive, then I'm like, okay, maybe I guess it is.
Yeah, I guess it is.
So it's the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
You probably don't realize that you just have I guess, like, this easiness about you.
Yeah.
You know, and the best way possible. It's just it's easy to talk to you. So I think that's what it is. Well, it's good because
it works out perfectly with this.
It works out perfectly, yeah. So I mean, for sure, man. Like, I wish you all the best in this podcast. Like,
same thing. I know you're gonna go far. Like, even if you just go for your fitness, you'll do well. If you go for your music, I mean, you're pretty much set. Honestly.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
So this is gonna be the end of the podcast for now. I appreciate you for doing this. The next part is a performance. Are you down for that or no?
Sure.
It could just be like a quick 3-minute song or anything you want.
All right. let me see what I can think of.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end it. So thank you guys for listening, and you'll see the performance right now.
I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world below. There is no sickness, no toil nor danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to see my Father and all my loved ones who've gone on. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. I know dark clouds will gather round me. I know my way is hard and steep, but beauteous fields arise before me, where God's redeemed their vigils keep. I'm going there to see my mother. She said she'd meet me when I come. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. I'm just